Red Byron, 1949, NASCAR's first champion with a war injury. In NASCAR's inaugural season, Robert "Red" Byron emerged as the unlikely champion, defying both the competition and his own physical limits. A World War II veteran, Byron raced with a metal brace bolted to the clutch pedal due to a severe leg injury from his time as a B-24 tail gunner. Despite this handicap, he won NASCAR's first strictly stock title in 1949, conquering 2 of the season's 8 races in Raymond Park's Oldsmobile. His gritty determination and mechanical ingenuity with the clutch brace that steadied his damaged leg made his triumph even more impressive. Byron's story set the tone for underdogs to come, a champion who literally gave his leg for victory, proving that resilience and innovation could take a humble racer to the top of the nascent NASCAR world. Bill Rexford, 1950, the 23-year-old Longshot champ. At just 23 years old, Bill Rexford became NASCAR's youngest Cup Series champion in 1950, and one of its most unlikely. Hailing from a small-town background, Rexford clinched the title in a season where consistency beat speed. He managed only a single win in his entire career, uniquely making him the only Cup champion with just 1 victory to his name. The championship drama peaked in the finale at Occoneechee Speedway. Rexford's engine failed early, opening the door for heavy favorite Fireball Roberts. But Roberts, chasing the bigger purse for winning the race, overreached. His engine blew, eliminating him from contention. That twist handed the crown to Rexford, who had already dropped out by a slim margin. It was a shocker. The underfunded youngster who outlasted the legends by sheer perseverance and a bit of racing luck. Rex White, 1960, the independent David versus Goliaths. In 1960, Rex White proved that a savvy independent could slay the giants of NASCAR. Standing just 5 feet 4 inches and having overcome childhood polio, White was a true underdog in stature and resources. Yet he dominated the season through consistency and mechanical smarts. Driving his own small team Chevrolet, White won 6 races and notched an astounding 35 top 10 finishes in 40 starts, handily securing the Grand National Cup Championship. He succeeded without the backing of a big factory team, relying on short-track grit and a knack for saving equipment as an independent driver. Defeating powerhouse names like Lee Petty and Junior Johnson, White's title was a triumph of preparation over pedigree. Decades later, this little guy was rightfully recognized in the Hall of Fame. But in 1960, he was the underdog who became top dog in NASCAR's early era. Ned Jarrett, 1961, 1 win, 1 championship. They called him Gentleman Ned. But in 1961, Ned Jarrett was quietly ruthless in racking up points despite very few trips to victory lane. Jarrett won only 1 race the entire season, yet he leveraged relentless consistency to capture the Grand National Championship. Week after week, the North Carolina farmer's son brought his number 11 Chevrolet home in the top 10. He racked up 34 top 10 finishes in 46 races, avoiding costly retirements while faster rivals faltered. His calculated approach paid off. Jarrett edged out stars with multiple wins by making every finish count. In an era dominated by big personalities and factory teams, Jarrett's title run was refreshingly workmanlike, a triumph of steady driving and smart strategy over flash. This 28-year-old underdog's crown, earned with a single win and an 8.1 average finish, proved that slow and steady could indeed win NASCAR's race. Joe Weatherly, 1963, the Patchwork champion. Joe Weatherly's 1963 championship is the stuff of NASCAR lore, a 2-time champ who won his 2nd title by barnstorming rides with whoever would have him. When factory support for his team dried up, the fun-loving Virginian refused to quit. Weatherly drove for 9 different teams that season, hopping between makes and owners just to stay in the points hunt. Remarkably, Lil Joe still won 3 races, all with Bud Moore's underfunded Mercury squad, and pieced together enough top 5 finishes in a hodgepodge of Pontiacs, Mercurys, and even a Petty Enterprises Plymouth to beat Richard Petty for the championship. Petty won 14 races that year, but suffered too many breakdowns, while Weatherly's scrappy, seat-of-the-pants persistence won out by a comfortable margin. Driving anything on 4 wheels, Weatherly embodied the underdog spirit, a champion not backed by one big team, but by his own sheer will to race every week for any team. His tragically brief career, he died in early 1964, still stands as proof that adaptability and charm, plus a bit of luck, can take an underdog to NASCAR's pinnacle. Benny Parsons, 1973, the taxi driver turned champion. Benny Parsons went from driving a taxi in Detroit to hoisting the 1973 Winston Cup in one of the most dramatic underdog rallies in NASCAR history. That season, Parsons won just a single race, yet his consistency and determination delivered the championship. Going into the final race at Rockingham, the likable everyman held a slim lead over legends like Richard Petty and Cale Yarborough. Then, disaster struck. On lap 13, Parsons was swept into a wreck that sheared off the right side of his car and even tore out roll cage bars. Most teams would have packed up, but Parsons' crew, with help from rival teams, miraculously rebuilt the mangled Chevy on the spot, even scavenging roll bar pipes from a failed qualifier. Over an hour later, Parsons rejoined the race, limping home 28th, just enough to edge Yarborough by 67 points and seal the title. It was a championship of heart over horsepower. Benny Parsons, the modest, mild-mannered underdog, persevered through a frantic finale to become NASCAR's newest champion. He remains one of the only champs ever with one win, a feat unmatched until 2003. Bobby Allison, 1983. Long-awaited late-career triumph. By 1983, Bobby Allison was already a NASCAR hero, but a title had always slipped through his fingers until that Cinderella season when he finally grabbed the crown. At 45 years old, Allison became, at the time, the oldest driver to win a Cup championship, capping a career defined by near misses. He had finished runner-up in the standings 5 times over 2 decades, earning dozens of wins but watching younger rivals take the titles. In 1983, driving for the DieGuard racing team in the iconic number 22 Buick, Allison's experience and persistence paid off. He dueled reigning champ Darrell Waltrip all year and entered the final race at Riverside with a narrow lead. Fittingly, the championship wasn't secured until Waltrip faltered in the finale. He spun in the closing laps and fell out of contention, allowing Allison to clinch his first title by 47 points. A gut-punch echo of Allison's own past heartbreaks turned in his favor. It was a popular victory for the Alabama gang veteran, coming late in a storied career. The underdog tale of a hard-nosed racer who refused to quit until he reached the very top at last. Terry Labonte, 1984, Texas underdog with a one-car team. In 1984, a 27-year-old Texan shocked NASCAR by outdueling the sport's superstars for the Winston Cup championship. Labonte wasn't flashy, driving the number 44 Piedmont Airlines Chevy for the independent Hagen Racing Team, a single-car outfit with just a couple dozen employees. He simply relied on ice-cool consistency to get the job done. While rival Darrell Waltrip won 7 races in '84, Labonte quietly amassed points with 24 top 10 finishes and only 2 victories. The title battle went to the wire at Riverside, where Waltrip's engine trouble helped Labonte clinch the championship in unassuming style. Even Labonte's crew chief, the legendary Dale Inman, admitted, "We weren't supposed to win it, and we didn't know what to do with it," reflecting how unexpected their triumph was. Terry Labonte's first championship proved that a quiet underdog from Texas, with a small team and a steady wheel, could beat the flashier multi-car giants by simply refusing to crack under pressure. Bill Elliott, 1988. Million-dollar underdog. Awesome Bill from Dawsonville, Bill Elliott became a folk hero in the 1980s for his speed, but it was his underdog grit that delivered the 1988 Cup Series championship. Driving for his family-run Melling Racing team, Elliott faced NASCAR's titans with far fewer resources. In '88, he dueled Rusty Wallace in a classic Ford vs. Pontiac showdown. Elliott's team had only a fraction of the budget of powerhouses like Junior Johnson's, yet his consistency and superspeedway prowess kept him in the hunt. He won 6 races that year, and Elliott entered the season finale at Atlanta with a slim points lead. Wallace was 79 points behind. Under immense pressure, Elliott safely finished 11th in the race, enough to clinch the championship by 24 points, as Wallace won the finale. But a title had always eluded him until now. His 1988 run proved that a small, family-owned team could reach NASCAR's summit. With Elliott's smooth driving and the support of his hometown fans fueling an improbable championship run, he earned the nickname Million Dollar Bill and a championship trophy to match. Alan Kulwicki, 1992, the ultimate owner-driver underdog. Alan Kulwicki's 1992 championship remains one of NASCAR's most legendary underdog tales, a true David-conquering Goliath on sheer will and work ethic. Kulwicki was a fiercely independent owner-driver from Wisconsin who nicknamed his car the Underbird, a cheeky nod to his underfunded status versus Ford's mighty Thunderbirds. In the final stretch of '92, he trailed superstar Bill Elliott by 278 points with 6 races to go, yet staged one of the greatest comebacks in history. Kulwicki meticulously chipped away, and it all came down to the season finale at Atlanta. There, with the championship on the line, he not only raced Elliott for the win but also fought to lead the most laps, gaining crucial bonus points. He succeeded by a single lap lead, then finished second in the race, which was enough to edge Elliott by 10 points, the closest margin ever at the time. Kulwicki's triumph as an owner-driver the last to do so, was astounding. A single-car team with a shoestring budget toppling the multi-car, well-funded giants. Tragically, 5 months later, Kulwicki perished in a plane crash, but his legacy endures. His 1992 title run, complete with his celebratory Polish victory lap, exemplifies the underdog champion who did it my way, beating the odds through engineering savvy, determination, and a dose of late-season magic. Dale Earnhardt, 1980, rookie to champion in 2 seasons. Before he was the Intimidator, Dale Earnhardt was a North Carolina scrapper with an underdog story of his own. In 1980, in just his second Cup season, the 29-year-old Earnhardt stunned the racing world by winning the Winston Cup Championship driving for Rod Osterlund's humble single-car team. Up against established stars like Cale Yarborough and Richard Petty, Earnhardt used fearless driving and raw talent to notch 5 wins and seize the points lead. It was a blue-collar effort. Osterlund's operation was small compared to Petty Enterprises or Junior Johnson's brigade, and Earnhardt had come up the hard way, learning on local dirt tracks. He clinched the title in the finale, edging veteran Cale Yarborough. In doing so, Earnhardt became the first driver in NASCAR history to follow up Rookie of the Year honors with a championship the very next season. This early career triumph set the tone for Earnhardt's legend. But in 1980, he was the brash newcomer, an underdog rising quickly through grit and daring passes. The kid from Kannapolis proved that year that no amount of experience could trump sheer determination, a hallmark that would define his career. Matt Kenseth, 2003, Mr. Consistency's one-win wonder. Matt Kenseth's 2003 championship run was so unorthodox that it changed NASCAR's point system forever. Driving the number 17 DeWalt Ford for Roush Racing, Kenseth won just 1 race all year. Yet he methodically piled up 25 top 10 finishes, the most of any driver, to secure the Winston Cup title before the final race. Dubbed the Consistency Champion, and even jokingly, Mathematics Kenseth, the unflappable Wisconsin native led the standings for a record 33 straight weeks. While rivals like Ryan Newman racked up 8 wins, but also 8 DNFs, Kenseth's steady approach earned him a sizable points lead. He locked up the championship with a week to go, despite media debate over whether a 1-win champ was deserving. In fact, Kenseth became the first driver since Benny Parsons in 1973 to win the title with only 1 victory. NASCAR brass responded by creating the Chase playoff format the next year, aiming to emphasize winning. But in 2003, Kenseth's calculated drive was an underdog story of its own, a quiet powerhouse proving that consistency and a bit of points racing could outrun the flashier winners for the ultimate prize. Kurt Busch, 2004, the first Chase shocker. When NASCAR introduced the new playoff-style Chase in 2004, few expected Kurt Busch, a brash 26-year-old in just his 4th full season, to emerge as its first champion. Driving Roush Racing's number 97 Ford, Busch outlasted legends Jeff Gordon and Jimmy Johnson in a dramatic finale that sealed his underdog legacy. He won 3 races during the season and entered the Homestead finale with a narrow lead. But disaster nearly struck mid-race when a loose wheel detached from his car, sending him scrambling to pit road while the tire bounced wildly down the track. Busch avoided disaster, stayed on the lead lap, and clawed his way back to finish 5th, just enough to edge Johnson by 8 points and Gordon by 16. In a year where Johnson won 8 races, Busch's title wasn't about dominance, but grit, strategy, and survival. As the 7th seed, Kurt Busch won the inaugural Chase in 2004, delivering Roush Racing's 2nd Cup championship and proving the new playoff format could produce true drama. That flying wheel moment and gritty recovery made Busch's title one of NASCAR's most improbable and memorable underdog triumphs. Tony Stewart, 2011, winless to undefeated in the clutch. They better watch out, we've got nothing to lose. That was Tony Stewart's mindset heading into the 2011 Chase, after a winless regular season had many doubting he even belonged in the playoffs. What followed became one of NASCAR's most thrilling underdog championship runs. Stewart exploded in the final 10 races, winning 5 of them, after going winless in the first 26. It all built to a dramatic finale at Homestead where he and Carl Edwards engaged in a high-stakes duel for the title. They finished 1st and 2nd in the race and tied in points, a NASCAR first. Stewart won the championship on the tiebreaker, 5 wins to Edwards' 1. Even more impressive, Stewart had to pass cars multiple times that night due to pit issues, showing grit and determination throughout. This was also his first title as a driver-owner with Stewart Haas Racing, cementing the storybook feel. His 2011 comeback, once called magical, proved that timing, heart, and momentum can conquer even the steepest odds. Stewart didn't just win the title, he earned it with one of the greatest postseason performances in NASCAR history. Brad Keselowski, 2012. Blue-collar champion breaks the streak. In 2012, Brad Keselowski delivered a seismic shock to NASCAR by capturing Team Penske's first Cup championship in over 2 decades. Just 28 years old and in only his 3rd full season, Keselowski became the brash young challenger who took down a dynasty, namely 5-time champion Jimmie Johnson. Driving the number 2 Miller Lite Dodge, Keselowski entered the chase as an underdog, but quickly proved he was for real, winning twice and going toe-to-toe with Johnson down the stretch. The turning point came in the penultimate race when Keselowski's team used bold fuel strategy to steal the points lead, and Johnson suffered a rare mechanical failure at Homestead. Brad clinched the title with a conservative 15th place run, enough to seal the deal. His win marked Roger Penske's long-awaited first Cup title and also Dodge's last before leaving the sport. Keselowski's hard-nosed blue-collar swagger, topped off by his famous beer-chugging celebration, made him a fan favorite. His 2012 championship was a win for the underdogs, showing guts and smarts could still triumph in NASCAR's super team era. Kyle Busch, 2015, comeback from a broken leg. Kyle Busch's 2015 season began in the worst possible way, lying on the asphalt at Daytona with a broken right leg and left foot after a brutal crash in the Xfinity Series opener. He missed the first 11 Cup races, and for most, his championship hopes seemed gone. But Busch was granted a medical waiver and returned with a vengeance. He needed at least 1 win and a spot inside the top 30 in points to qualify for the playoffs. And he delivered, winning 4 races in a 5-week span that summer. Against the odds, he clawed his way into the postseason. At Homestead, he entered the championship 4 as a slight underdog, facing off against defending champ Kevin Harvick and legend Jeff Gordon in his final race. But Rowdy ran a calm, calculated race, seized the lead late, and won the finale, securing his first Cup title just 8 months after his injury. From wheelchair to champion, Busch's 2015 season became one of the greatest comebacks in NASCAR and modern sports history. Martin Truex Jr., 2017, small team to superstar. Martin Truex Jr.'s 2017 Cup title is one of NASCAR's greatest underdog stories. Once a journeyman nearly forgotten after being caught in a race-fixing fallout, Truex found redemption with Denver-based Furniture Row Racing, a tiny single-car team far from NASCAR's Charlotte hub. With crew chief Cole Pearn, Truex hit career-best form, winning 8 races and finishing top 5 19 times in a dominant season. Despite the stats, the team still carried the underdog label heading into the championship finale at Homestead. Facing powerhouse teams like Joe Gibbs Racing and Penske, Truex held off Kyle Busch in a thrilling head-to-head battle, leading the most laps and clinching his first title. The win completed Furniture Row's rise from obscurity to glory, from an underfunded backmarker to NASCAR champion, as owner Barney Visser put it. Truex dedicated the championship to longtime partner Sherry Pollux, who was battling cancer. The victory was emotional and historic, and bittersweet. Just 1 year later, Furniture Row closed its doors due to lack of sponsorship, but not before etching their names into NASCAR lore. Joey Logano, 2018. Big 3 and me, upset. In 2018, Joey Logano crashed NASCAR's Big 3 party and walked away with the championship, a true underdog triumph in the modern era. All season, Kevin Harvick, Kyle Busch, and Martin Truex Jr. dominated, combining for 20 wins and earning the nickname the Big 3. Logano, with just 1 regular season win, was seen as an outsider, but once the playoffs began, he gained momentum. After winning at Martinsville to lock into the championship 4, Logano confidently declared it would be the Big 3 and me at Homestead. In the title race, he proved his point. He outdueled all 3, leading 80 laps and making a thrilling late pass on Truex Jr. to win the race and the championship. Despite having fewer wins and top finishes, Logano peaked at the perfect time. At 28, the once hyped prodigy known as Sliced Bread finally fulfilled his potential. His 2018 title run showcased the unpredictability of NASCAR's playoff format, where grit, timing, and clutch performance matter most. The Big 3 won more, but Logano won when it counted and earned his place among them.